Hey, what's going on? Today, oh my god, I can feel, you know when like you do your makeup and then you can feel like a tear coming and you're just like, no. The trick I learned when I worked at MAC was to always like tilt your head towards the tear duct so you can like grab it with a Q-tip or a tissue and not the other corner like I just did where it makes a mess. Today we're going to be talking about the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia. This is the latest release from Anastasia and it has been really hyped up. I first heard about it from Norvina's Snapchat. She just randomly was like, hey, this is what's coming out, and then it came out like the next day pretty much, which I love. I think that's awesome. We live in an age where like everyone's looking for the latest scoop on makeup stuff, and it's nice to just have something where it's like, here's what we come out with and it's out already, and you don't have to sit there being like, you need to go online at exactly 10 o'clock a.m. and because then it becomes crazy. Anyways, so this palette I was really interested in because it's very, 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 very warm, but not like the warm that you've been seeing a lot lately. I know at the end of last year and continuing into this year, there's been a lot of very warm palettes. This one is warm, but like next level in the sense that it's a lot of reds and pinks and bright, like juicy raspberry shades. This is really cool to me because a lot of the times colors like that are rare or they're like a one shade and it's not really a whole palette in that direction. So it's pretty cool to see more intense reds like this and intense warm colors versus, you know, warmer shades that are more everyday friendly, so to speak. I love this. So this palette is the same style that a lot of Anastasia palettes are, in the sense that it is a rectangle. It's got the magnetic closure going on. The top of it is actually like a suede finish. It kind of reminds me of some of the IT Cosmetics palettes. And then when you open it, you get 14 shades ranging from light to dark. The layout of this palette is really beautiful and it really flows very well. There's a lot of different finishes going on. I can literally feel a tear dropping from my eyeball right now. Why? There's a lot of different finishes going on here. Let me give you an idea. So I see 1, 2, 3, 6 mattes, I believe, possibly 7 mattes. This actually looks like it might be like a satin. A little bit of a satin. At least 3 really shimmery colors, and then there are just some more like not quite satin, not quite frosty. We'll get into it, but there's just a really cool range of colors here. I can't think of another palette that has this many amazing like bright red and bright pink tones, but then it evens it out with more wearable, so to speak, neutrally shades. So I think that's really cool. So let's go through and do some swatches. The first shade's called Tempera. Tempera is a light pink toned beige. It's a little bit of a satin. It's not super shimmery, super frosty, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. Then we have Golden Ochre. Golden Ochre is a really weird color. I love weird colors, as you guys know. Very, very warm, like mustardy shade almost. It's a very interesting color that you don't see at all, I mean, very often. Next up we have Vermeer. Vermeer is one of the most frosty, shimmery shades here. It's a very interesting color. It's a very pinkish, very, very frosty shade. Pinky, icy shade we got going here. Then we have Buon Fresco. Buon Fresco. This is a muted, deep lavender I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say that this is a satin. Same kind of finish as the first shade, which was Tempera. Really cool color though, like a vibrant bruisey shade. That sounds like a bad way to, it sounds like a terrible way to describe it, but it's really cool. So like a deep muted lavender. I'll go with that because that sounds better than bruise. The next shade's called Antique Bronze. Antique Bronze is very, very metallic and has some brown tones to it, but it also has a lot of very warm, deep reddish colors coming through. Very metallic though. Next is Love Letter, and I just, oh my goodness, this color is amazing. So this is a matte shade, vibrant raspberry shade here. They just, oh, they blend and they apply just so nicely. It's awesome. The last shade for the top row is Cyprus Ombre. This is the darkest shade in the palette. That was something I thought was interesting, was that the darkest shade is kind of a chocolatey brown. This is a matte and it just blends out so nicely. So this is gonna be a great shade to kind of smoke everything out, make everything, just darken it up a little bit, but it's not gonna darken it too much because I feel like if there was a black in this palette, it just might be a little too overwhelming and it might be too much. So I do like that the darkest shade here is a warm brown. Okay, bottom row. First color is called Raw Sienna. Raw Sienna is like a couple shades darker than Golden Ochre, so it's definitely more on the brown side, but still very, very warm, and this is also a matte. Then we have Burnt Orange. Little story for you, burnt orange is one of my least favorite colors ever, just because I remember when I lived in Austin, and anytime that there would be like a sports game, everyone would be wearing these t-shirts that were just this horrible shade of burnt orange. So when I see that shade, I'm just like, this isn't quite that shade though. It's very similar to Raw Sienna. It's only a tiny bit more orange, but they're both very, 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 very similar. Burnt orange may have a satin finish to it, so there is that difference, but the colors are just slightly different there. Next shade is Primavera. This is another very metallic shade. This is a super, super metallic, light peachy shade. This is gorgeous. I applied this to the kind of inner corners. It kind of got blended out a little bit because I sort of wanted to blend everything together. This shows that it can be kind of muted out just because it's on the inner corners here and it's not super bright, but if you applied this over a base, this color would just shine like the stars. It would be so crazy, crazy metallic. It's gorgeous. The next shade's called Red Ochre. This is my favorite color here just because you do not see this shade in a lot of palettes. This is a matte. It's the only one that I'm noticing is a little bit grainy, but it still blends out fairly nicely. There are some mattes here that blend out a lot better than this one, but I just love the color. If you see a red, it's generally either very dark and deep or it's bright and crazy. You don't kind of see this middle ground where it's like a brick red. Next is Venetian Red. Venetian Red is much more on the pink side than Red Ochre. The pigmentation here is not as strong as some of the other colors, but it is buildable. But yeah, I would say that that's much more pink than red. Next shade is Warm Taupe. Warm Taupe is definitely a matte, and it actually seems a little bit more neutral, I would say, than warm. Compared to a lot of the colors here, I would say it's more on the neutral side. I feel like it has some gray undertones to it too, but it blends out really nicely and would work well as a transitioning shade and would work really well with Buon Fresco, which was that muted kind of deep lavender shade. The last color is Real Gar. This shade's also really cool. This is, oh my gosh, this is almost more like a brick red than Red Ochre. Oh my goodness, this one has the most amazing texture. So this is another matte, but it just blends beautifully. It feels so nice and it's blending out, and yes, that's such a cool reddish orange, burnt reddish orangey shade there. I love it. So like I mentioned, I love the shades here just because they're very different, and I think it was kind of a bold move, so to speak, for Anastasia to release a palette like this because I could see a lot of people kind of being afraid of it, so to speak. I think it's awesome. I think that red is one of the colors that in anyone's makeup collection can be kind of lacking because people get kind of intimidated by doing red eyeshadow. I love it though. It's always something that I think is really fun. If you have green eyes, I'm telling you, red eyeshadows are gonna make your eyes just go on fire. And because this has more warmer colors too, it works for blue eyes. It'll work for anybody. This will make them come out of your skull amazingness. Here is just a quick look at the look I created today. I'm using the Anastasia palette, all the colors here. I kind of just wanted to do like a smoky look, so that's sort of what I was going for. I used almost all of the colors and I really liked how it turned out. I had some issues with the liner, but that has nothing to do with the palette itself. That was just me having a bad liner day. We've all been there. But yeah, I like how it turned out. I think it looks so cool, and I'm such a fan, like I said, such a fan of red eyeshadows. I love that with this palette you can use the metallic shades and get a really metallic look. You can use the lighter colors and just use like a pop for a little bit of a red just in the crease or even on the lid or even under the eyes. There's just a lot to do here. You can do a really crazy bright red look, a smoky look. You can tone it down. You can just, you know, not use the reds at all if you're not feeling them, but still have a really beautiful look. All the colors are awesome. The only one that gave me just a little bit of an issue was red ochre, but I mean, I applied that today. That's the color that is in the outer corners. I mixed that with Cyprus Ombre, which is that dark brown, and I love it. I mean, I didn't have any issues with it applying. I had a little bit of fallout issue with it, but just a tiny bit. It wasn't anything bad. I didn't mention this also comes with a brush. It's a dual-ended brush, so you get an eyeshadow brush and you get a blending brush, which, I mean, they're super soft. They don't feel cheap. I love when palettes come with nice brushes like this and not like, you know, cheapy stuff. So this is awesome. So this palette, if I remember correctly, was $45. Let me just recheck for you. Renaissance is one of those words where I'm like, am I spelling it correctly? And then Google comes to the rescue. I wasn't spelling it correctly. The palette's open, otherwise I would look on that. Don't judge me. $42, that's even better. So this is $42 for 14 shades and a brush. All really special colors here. I mean, I really am glad that I picked this up. I would recommend getting it on Sephora because you can use your Ebates to get cash back. Right now, Ebates, as I'm looking at it, is 4% cash back. I don't think Ebates works on Anastasia's website. Plus, I find Sephora has really fast shipping. I like buying from them online more than anything, but I gotta tell you, it's a very unique palette, and I gotta recommend it. I think it's really cool, definitely worth checking out. So let me know your thoughts if you've picked this up. If you're wondering, by the way, this on my lips is Tango lip gloss from Anastasia, because I picked up the lip gloss pack that they have on sale, the summer lip gloss pack, and I've only used that one yet, so I will do a little review on these if you want, but yeah, that's what that is. So let me know your thoughts, let me know if you're gonna pick this up, and I'll see you later.